Welcome to Sitting with Sallie. Today my guest is Cindy Melenchenko. Cindy is going to talk about a journey that she has been on with her mother, Joyce Melenchenko, who now is living in a care home at Birchwood. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you, Sallie.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your mom, Joyce, and the journey that started about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yes, kind of all started when we were watching The Young and the Restless, and my mom didn't remember the characters. So I felt that that was kind of odd because she'd been watching that show for her whole life.
This is one of her favorite shows.
Favorite soap operas. And she couldn't name who the people were. So it started putting up a little bit of, something's going on here.
And at this point, you probably didn't know much about what happens to elderly people when things start happening?
You know, I was wondering if it was just the regular path of aging. But then we ended up making a doctor's appointment, and the doctor referred us to the older adults program, and that started the road to figuring things out.
And what time frame was all this in?
Within a couple months of that one day, and then the older adults person came in once a month just to check on my mom, started some testing, started looking at what was potentially going on.
This was about 4 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
And your dad had died a few years before that?
Yeah, about 5 years before that,
Okay.
so about 9 years now.
Yeah, so your mom was living on her own in an apartment and was managing quite well.
She was doing well.
And then what happened?
You know, I don't, she'd had knee surgery, probably 3 years, 4 years, yeah, about that. And then after that, it just started seeing some gradual decline. Is that connected? I don't know.
And when you say gradual decline, what kind of things were you noticing?
Just the subtle memory loss within the conversations, the repeating of the questions, the not knowing where things were. Those were the initial things that I had noticed.
Okay. And what was your relationship like with Joyce?
It was close, but of course it was tumultuous at times.
That's many people's are, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you have a sister too.
I do.
And the two of you were trying to figure it out.
We were trying to figure it out, and then it just came down to one weekend when the community was not covering, I guess, but supporting what was going on, and it became a crisis. And CCAC, we had to call them, and then we had to have her reassessed, and it just came down to extreme quick decline within the previous 6 months when she'd had the tests done.
MMCC, that's a Community Care Access Center.
Yes.
And they come in and have to assess when people, if they're still competent and capable of doing things.
Yeah.
And at that point, crisis happened, they come in, then what happens?
Then my sister and I had to decide what we were going to do, and we had decided that long-term care facility was the best. She couldn't look after herself, we couldn't look after her. She needed to be safe and secure and in a place where there were people around.
Okay, so if we can back up a bit, when you first took Joyce to the doctor, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Yeah, not the original doctor. Then we'd end up going to a neurologist in Winnipeg.
That was the initial diagnosis.
Yes.
And then at some point, that didn't seem to be the correct diagnosis. What happened then?
Then we went back just for a follow-up, and because initially when she had the Parkinson's, the movements, the change in the gait and the way that she was moving, she didn't have so much dementia, memory loss. Then it seemed like it drastically changed.
And Parkinson's involves involuntary tremors on all over.
She didn't really have the involuntary tremor. She had more of the shuffling of the gait. There's a facial look that's Parkinsonian. And so then we went back to the neurologist and talked about the dementia. We did some tests, and and then re-diagnosed with Lewy Body Dementia.
Well, that's a specific type of dementia.
Yeah.
It's, well, Alzheimer's is a specific type. This
Right.
is another specific type.
Right. It's a more rapidly declining with the Parkinsonian kind of movements associated with it.
And it's considered quite a progressive dementia.
It is very, very, very progressive.
How familiar were you when you first learned about dementia with what that meant and Lewy body?
Not at all.
No.
Never had heard of Lewy body before. I'd heard of Alzheimer's, of course, but then started doing some research and looking through it, and it fit.
Okay. And how about your mom? When Joyce got the diagnosis, I presume she had no more familiarity?
She was in denial, and I think maybe we were in denial too, my sister and I, but noticing that things were going on, and then looking back and even putting myself into that situation to be empathetic, I can't even imagine how it would be for somebody to start telling you that you're not behaving how you think you're behaving. And so she was in denial for a very long time, and I think when she moved into Birchwood is when she truly accepted what was going on, or maybe a little bit before that, and it just changed her whole way. Like she just became calm and peaceful, and my mother was generally not a calm and peaceful person.
And she moved into Birchwood how long ago?
Probably about a year and a half ago. I think it was May of last year.
So there was about a year and a half, 2 years where you think that she was in denial?
Denial and not really noticing like that, because there wasn't really anything truly actually majorly going on other than the minor
Memory.
right.
And
Then
sorry, you said the older adults program, at some point you reached out to the Alzheimer's Society.
not until I never reached out to the Alzheimer's Society because I wasn't even thinking of that. I was in
A
what's
fog.
the word? A fog of a lot of stuff going on.
You were dealing with a lot of things.
I was dealing with
Yeah.
a lot of things
So-
and just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah. You did reach out to the Alzheimer's Society, and did you get your mum to talk to them too, or is that another group?
No. When my sister came, we ended up having to move my mom out of the apartment, and then she ended up going to Birchwood. But my sister reached out to the Alzheimer's Society, and then that began a lot of good connections for support. I highly recommend anybody, even in the beginning stages, to reach out to the Alzheimer's Society, because if I did that, that would have helped me and given me the support that I needed at that time that I didn't even know I needed.
So you wouldn't have been sort of running around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know they're there both for people who have dementia, but also for the caregivers, which is really important.
Very much so. And I think a lot of people are confused by, or maybe they think it's Alzheimer's Society, but it's for all dementia. And they have amazing courses. I took a caregiver course with the Alzheimer's Society. Just very insightful and just helps you realize that everything's happening the way it's supposed to within the realm of dementia.
And currently, your mum's in Birchwood. She's settled in. There's been further decline, I take it.
We're noticing about every 6 months. Like when she was tested with CCAC, 6 months, she was fine. Within 6 months,
That's when the crisis happened.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very, very quickly declined. She was living on her own all of a sudden, and now she's in a wheelchair, and her speech is just starting to go. I'm noticing the next stage.
Okay. We're going to take a little break.
Okay.
When we come back, I'd like to talk a bit more about the mother-daughter relationship and how you sort of dealt with it and came to terms with it. Okay? So please come back after the break.